And if anyone thinks that it's not possible for a few to control the world, you're looking at it. How many people in Britain, America, Germany, Australia, South Africa, France, all these different countries, how many of those people wanted to go to war in the First World War? Hardly any of them. They want to be at home with their families, seeing their kids grow up. So why were they there? They were there because the pyramid structure and the hierarchy in this country persuaded its population they had to fight the people in this country. The little hierarchy in this country persuaded their population they had to fight this country, and these two hierarchies locked into one hierarchy, which was pulling strings of all sides. And there was a song in the 60s by a guy called Donovan, sang by a guy called Donovan, which went like this. It sums up where we're at with this. It went, he's 5'2" and he's 6'4". He fights with missiles and with spears. He's all of 31 and he's only 17. He's been a soldier for 1,000 years. He's a Catholic, a Hindu, an atheist, a Jain, a Buddhist and a Baptist and a Jew. And he knows he shouldn't kill, and he knows he always will. Killing for me, my friend, and me for you. And he's fighting for Canada, he's fighting for France, he's fighting for the USA. And he's fighting for the Russians, and he's fighting for Japan. And he thinks we'll put an end to war this way. And he's fighting for democracy, he's fighting for the Reds. He says it's for the peace of all. He's the one who must decide who's to live and who's to die, and he never sees the writing on the wall. But without him, how could Hitler have condemned him at Laval? Without him, Caesar would have stood alone. He's the one who gives his body as a weapon of the war, and without him, all this killing can't go on. He's the universal soldier, and he really is to blame. His orders come from far away no more. They come from here and there and you and me, and brothers and sisters, can't you see? This is not the way we put the end to war. And that sums up a very simple truth. When we stop playing the game, there is no game. The few can only control the world and manipulate wars if we fall for it, because we fight them and they start them. And when they've started them and we fought them, they recreate the world in the image that they want. So we went from global elite controlling both sides, conflict, United Nations, European Union, in both world wars. Power was in far fewer hands at the end of the war than it was at the start, and that was the reason for the war. Another problem, reaction, solution, which I'll talk briefly about, that is going to be played in the next few years, it would look like, maybe even sooner than that, is the idea there's some extraterrestrial invasion. These so-called flying saucers have been around for a long time. They're flown by humans. Been around for a long time. It's a very straightforward technology. But if you, going back to that knowledge, ignorance pyramid at the start, if you keep people in ignorance of what's possible, when they see things flying around that they don't believe humans can create, then they think extraterrestrial. And there's a scam being played here in which, while these extraterrestrial created and connected bloodlines have been running the world and still are all these thousands of years, that we're going to be persuaded that there's some extraterrestrial invasion coming in. And what will that justify? Centralization of global government, global army, and all these different things. And that's being played now. We're being prepared for it with more and more of these extraterrestrial stories coming out through things like X-Files, made by Fox Television, owned by Rupert Murdoch, which is owned by this brotherhood. Things like Independence Day, made by 20th Century Fox, owned by Rupert Murdoch, who is owned by this brotherhood. Things like Alien Resurrection, made by 20th Century Fox, owned by Rupert Murdoch, who's owned by this brotherhood, and so on and so forth. So problem, reaction, solution happens on many, many levels. And if we keep reacting, something must be done. Oh my goodness me, save me. This will just go on. We have to ask, I would suggest, a very simple question when these things happen. Who benefits? Who benefits from me believing what I'm being asked to believe about this event? And if who benefits, and invariably it does, anyone who wants to centralize power in the world, we should do a lot of thinking before we jump in and say, do it, anything to change the situation we're in. Alongside problem, reaction, solution is another technique. I call it the stepping stones technique. James Madison once said, "I believe there are more instances of the abridgment of the freedom of the people by gradual and silent encroachments of those in power than by violent and sudden usurpations." And what that is saying in simple terms is, if you want to go from here to there, you know if you go in one jump, people are going to go, what's going on? What's going on? So what you do is you do it in little steps, each step projected as totally unconnected to the others, and suddenly you're here, and when people look back, they say, my goodness me, where did this come from? European Union has been created like that. You join a free trade area, you end up in a centralized fascist state. This is the structure throughout these thousands of years that I've been talking about, which has allowed this scam to go on. You have the elite, the brotherhood elite, because, you know, even when the Freemasons and these secret societies, the vast majority of them haven't got a clue this is going on. They'll be as surprised at this as anybody. These secret societies are compartmentalized fiercely. You only go to the next level if you're chosen to go to the next level, and that means knowledge. So most Freemasons and secret society members are not involved in this scam. Only the few at the top who know what's going on. And so you have a situation with pyramids inside pyramids. It's like Russian dolls, one inside the other. So a bank is a pyramid, a transnational corporation is a pyramid, and a compartmentalized pyramid. The guy who goes to work in the bank in the morning, he's gone to earn his living so he can pay for the mortgage and look after his family. He's not trying to scam the world. But he doesn't know what he's part of. And so these fiercely compartmentalized pyramids mean that the bank is controlled by very few people. But that bank then goes into the next pyramid, the global banking system pyramid, and at the top of that, the same people control all the global banks. Same with the transnational corporations. They are individually a compartmentalized pyramid. They go into the transnational corporation global network, and at the top of that, all the transnational corporations are controlled by the same people, and they're the same people that control the banks. Same with the military, same with the secret societies, and same with the intelligence agencies, etc. Same with the political parties. And so what we've seen in this 20th century, just take the 20th century alone, is an incessant centralization of power in all areas of our lives. Why? Because all those institutions fuse into the same brotherhood, which is putting down those apparently unconnected areas of our lives, the same policy of centralization, all coordinated. This is the one-party state pyramid. Down here in the political parties at the bottom of the pyramid, you've got people who knock on your door and put the funny hats on at the conventions and political meetings and stuff. And they genuinely believe they're on different sides because they know no different. But as you go up these pyramids to the point that I'm talking about, to this brotherhood, these political parties that appear to be different in public fuse into the same leadership. So the people that supply or dictate who's going to run for president in the Democrats in America are the same people that dictate who's going to run for the Republicans. Same all over the world. It's one-party states, but we have to believe we have multi-party states and freedom and choice. Otherwise, we might rebel against not being free. We've got to be persuaded we are. And these political parties, in the end, are controlled by the same people. It's interesting. Three of the key symbols that this brotherhood has used over these thousands of years is the lighted torch, the dove, and the red rose. And the three political parties in Britain are the Labour Party, Tony Blair's government, which is the red rose symbol, the Liberal Democrats, which is the dove, and the Conservatives, which is the lighted torch. Just a coincidence, nothing to worry about. We are told, and the media emphasizes this, and the leaders of politics, etc., walk the world stage as if they are at the peak of political decision-making in the world. When you look at the way it really works, the presidents, prime ministers, and heads of NATO, etc., are nowhere near the top of this global pyramid. They're some way down. And they are appointed and manipulated into power by those above them that control the banking system, the media, etc., which you need to have money and media support if you're going to make these positions. So presidents and prime ministers, why they stand there, as you know, someone once said the president of America is the most powerful man in the world. My goodness me, what a joke.